Just excited to get into it. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and this is Sit or Sell. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet and you want to see more videos just like this, and also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at RealSethFowler. But like I was saying at the beginning of the video, November is looking solid, and usually the first half of the month isn't as good as the last half of the month. I mean, we saw that with October, but it looks like the first half of November is actually going to be pretty great, especially with some special Sakai's dropping, which I'm especially excited for. In today's video, we're going to be covering the first half of November 2020, which is pretty much November 1st through the 15th. And I'm going to be covering all the important or notable sneaker releases happening in that time period. Keep in mind though that sneaker release dates do have an annoying habit of changing. So even if I say a shoe is releasing on a certain day now, I'm doing that before the sneaker actually releases, and there's no way of knowing if the release date's going to get pushed or if we randomly have a shock drop of a shoe that we didn't even know was releasing. In the world of sneaker releases, you never know what's going to happen, so if there's a certain shoe that you're looking forward to in particular, make sure to stay on top of news for that particular shoe. But with all of that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. Starting things off on November 1st, we've got the Nike PG4 Clippers. Obviously, Paul George is on the Clippers, so it makes sense that there would be a Clippers colorway of the PG4s. The shoe features a dark navy blue upper on the lateral side and a bright red mesh on the medial side. The lateral side of the shoe is accented by a bright white Nike swoosh and a black midsole, and the entire look is rounded off by a blue and red sort of tie-dye outsole. I don't know what it is about PG4s, but the overall silhouette itself is kind of plain, and I don't think I've seen any colorways that have really made me love the shoe yet. There have been a few Gatorade colorways of the PG4s that I have liked, but none have really made me want to run out to the store and grab a pair. And this colorway in particular is just kind of more of the same in my opinion. So for that reason, I think this shoe is going to sit. Moving on to November 5th, we've got the Nike Vapor Max 2020 in black and white, or Oreo, whatever you want to call it. This is a GR colorway of the Nike Vapor Max 2020. It kind of has that sort of Oreo theme to it, which I'm not against. I'm going to be honest, the main thing that drew me to the Vapor Max 2020 in the first place was the crazy launch colorway, and after that I haven't really been too into the other colorways of the sneaker. That doesn't mean I don't like the sneaker overall. I think the Vapor Max 2020 is by far the best Vapor Max to ever release, but this one doesn't do anything for me. Obviously, the shoe still features all the same tech. You've got that pull lacing system, you've got the new Vapor Max outsole, which I think is way better, but it's nothing special, it's nothing exciting, and it's going to be a very large, widespread release. So because of that, I think it's fair to say that this shoe will definitely sit. Also releasing on the 5th, we've got the Nike Zoom Freak 2 in particle gray. Again, it's not a bad looking shoe, it looks fine. I think the gray on the upper is clean. I think if you play for a team whose colors are gray, great. It also features some blue on the midsole and I think a little bit of green accenting on the outsole, but other than that, it's just kind of a plain Nike Zoom Freak 2. And again, it's going to be a GR release, so there's going to be a lot of pairs available, so if you want a pair of these, you definitely won't have a hard time finding it. Then moving on to November 6th, we've got the Nike LeBron 18 Los Angeles by Day. LeBron is on top of the world right now, coming off a championship win in arguably one of the most difficult seasons in the league, I think ever, because of all the craziness that's happened in the world. Some people will say it's an asterisk. I genuinely think that made it a lot harder to win this championship. So I think it's fair to say that LeBron is killing it. However, I don't think this colorway is killing it. I think this colorway kind of sucks. Okay, it's not a bad colorway, I just think it's a little plain. It kind of looks like a blue sky with some clouds in it, and that's probably why they call it Los Angeles by Day, because daytime you got blue clouds and sky. Blue clouds? What am I talking about? Whatever, you know what I'm saying. It's fine. It's not a bad looking shoe. I like the sort of color fade on the midsole. I think that's nice. Overall, the LeBron 18 seems like a decent performance sneaker, and if you're a LeBron fan and you want to play in some LeBron 18s, this should be an easy shoe to get because I'm pretty sure this shoe will be a GR release, and because of that, I think the shoe is going to sit. After that, we've got the Jaden Smith New Balance X Racer in yellow. I've actually never seen a pair of these in person, and I'm really interested in this shoe because of how bulky it looks. I'm a huge New Balance fan, so any New Balance silhouette I'm always down to try out, and while this is not a shoe that I think I would wear on a daily basis, it's a shoe that I'd love to see in person. It kind of has a Balenciaga feel to it. Maybe that's just because it's a bulky shoe, but it really feels more like a high fashion shoe, which I'm pretty sure is what Jaden Smith was going for. Even though the shoe isn't for everyone, I still think it's going to be difficult to get. One, because it's probably going to be pretty limited, and two, because every New Balance collab that's been releasing recently has completely sold out. And I think this shoe is going to be exactly the same as all the others and sell out almost instantly. And then rounding off November 6th, we've got two colorways of a brand new Sacai Nike collaboration called the Vapor Waffle. I've covered this shoe in the past because I believe the release date was misreported, and I don't even know if this is the official release date because I've heard some people say it's the 3rd and some people say it's the 6th, but I've seen more people say the 6th, so I'm assuming that this is actually the date. This brand new Nike Sacai Vapor Waffle collaboration is coming in two different colorways, a black and white colorway and a white, maroon, and blue colorway. And I'm kind of torn on this collaboration because one, I feel like this is the best looking or one of the best looking Nike Sacai collaborations to release so far. It's definitely the sleekest, but I'm torn on it because I feel like it's going to be the most fragile Nike Sacai collaboration so far, and that's because of the heel on the midsole. Because of the way that the waffle midsole is combined with the Vapor midsole and just kind of shoved in the middle, it really makes me think that if you get flat tired in this shoe or if it ever gets caught on something, it's just going to rip that midsole apart. There's such a large gap there, I just don't see how it couldn't happen. It really kind of looks like an open mouth. It's actually kind of weird looking. Other than that though, I feel like the collaboration is excellent. I love the colors that they used. I love the overlapping panels in the upper. I love even the way the midsole looks except for that heel area. I think the entire collab is awesome. And if I get the chance to pick up one of these pairs for myself and even the slimmer chance of actually being able to pick the colorway that I pick up, I think I would pick the white colorway because I like the way that the blue and the maroon play off of each other. The black colorway isn't bad. I'd be happy with either, but I think I prefer the white one. All that said, this shoe is a Sacai Nike collaboration, which means it's going to be incredibly popular and very difficult to get, and both of these colorways will definitely sell out. Then moving on to November 7th, we've got the What The Air Jordan 5s. I actually just dropped a full review of this sneaker on my channel, so if you guys would like to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen. And to tell you guys a little bit about the sneaker without giving too much away, I think it's a really great sneaker because of the fact that it's a true What The. We haven't had a lot of true What The sneakers in a while. I love the fact that it incorporates a lot of classic colorways into the sneaker. However, I don't know if it's the most wearable pair of sneakers in the world. Because they decided to make one shoe one color and the other shoe a different color, it kind of gives it a goofy look when it's on foot. It's not a bad look. I mean, if you understand what these shoes are and you like them because of that, it's great. But if you're someone who doesn't know what someone is wearing, you're gonna be like, what the hell are those? Which actually I guess is why they call this sneaker the What Thas. I don't know. I'm excited for this shoe to release, and I think a lot of people are also very excited for it. And so because of that, I think this shoe will definitely sell out. Moving on to November 9th, we've got the Nike Air Force 1 High Gore-Tex Boot in Wheat. The name of the shoe perfectly describes the sneaker. It's a high-top Air Force 1. It features Gore-Tex on the outside, which means it should be relatively water resistant, and it comes in a wheat or Timberland color. Of course, Nike can't say that, but it's a Timberland color. And it's definitely a solid pre-winter release. I think a lot of people will be grabbing this shoe so that they can wear it in the snow, and I think that's a great use case for it. It's not something that I'm personally excited for, and I don't know how many people are really going to be going for this shoe, so because of that, I think this shoe might sit. Next up, we've got the women's Nike Dunk Low Disrupt in red. The Dunk Low Disrupt is a reimagining of the Nike Dunk Low, and apparently it's a women's exclusive silhouette. The shoe features some oversized detailing in the upper and a very chunky midsole, and it's surprisingly a very popular shoe. It does make sense though because the Nike Dunk Low is so insanely popular right now, so any dunk sneaker will probably sell out. However, I just feel like if this shoe had dropped 3 years ago, no one would have been into it. As the name of the sneaker would suggest, it's an all-red Nike Dunk Low Disrupt, and even though it's not my favorite dunk or version of a dunk at all, I think a lot of people are still going to be into it, and so for that reason, I think this shoe will sell. Then rounding off November 9th, we've got the highly anticipated Nike Air Max 90 OG Infrared. The last time this shoe retroed was back in 2015, and it makes sense that this shoe is retroing 5 years later on the 30th anniversary of the Air Max 90. This is definitely the most iconic Air Max 90 and also probably one of the most popular. The shoe comes in a white, black, and infrared, which is basically an orange colorway, and overall it's a super clean look. This is one of those shoes that if you've been a sneaker collector for a while, you've definitely had at least one pair of these, and I'm so excited for there to be a retro of this shoe because my pair is beat to hell. But the best part about this release is that the shoe is coming in full family sizing, so you can literally outfit your entire family in Air Max 90 Infrareds. Because this shoe is such an illustrious history and it's the OG Air Max 90, I can definitely see this shoe selling out. Then moving on to November 10th, we've got the Nike Dunk Low Veneer. Originally part of the Ugly Duckling pack, the Nike Dunk Low Veneer hasn't seen a retro until now in 2020. The shoe comes in a brown and green suede upper accented by a purple Nike swoosh, purple outsole, and bright neon green sock liner. This shoe will definitely be popular among dunk collectors because of its history, but it's also a Nike Dunk Low, and everyone seems to be on the Nike Dunk Low train right now, so I know a lot of people are going to be going for this shoe. Honestly, out of all the dunks in the Nike Ugly Duckling pack, I think this one's seems my favorite. I just am drawn towards purple and green, and I also think it's a really wearable shoe. Most likely this shoe will be very limited, and it's also possible that it might only release in skate stores. I don't know for sure, but they've been doing that a lot recently, and it's a skate shoe, so it kind of makes sense. But because of the hype and the limited availability, this shoe will definitely sell out. Continuing on to November 11th, we've got the Air Jordan 35 DNA. This Jordan 35 comes in primarily white and black and reminds me a lot of the Shaq Gnosis, especially in this colorway. So far, it looks like the Jordan 35 has been a solid on-court performer, and it's also more of a lifestyle sneaker than the Air Jordan 34 was. This particular colorway seems to come in a mix of leathers, suedes, and some newer textile technologies, and overall, it's a pretty clean-looking Air Jordan 35. But at the end of the day, it's still a performance basketball sneaker. It's still a GR, or most likely is going to be a GR, and because of that, I just don't see this shoe selling out. Next up, we've got the Nike Kyrie 7 Preheat. Now, I've tried to do as much research as I can on this shoe, or at least this Preheat colorway, and from what I can tell, it looks like there are like 3 or 4 different versions of the Preheats that could possibly be regional releases. I have no idea which one is which. I have no idea which one is releasing in the United States, or maybe there's only one Preheat colorway. All this colorway stuff is really confusing. I have no idea what's going on with it, but I do know that on this day, there will be a Kyrie 7 releasing called the Preheat. I just don't know exactly which one it is. That said, the Kyrie 7 looks like a solid on-court performer, and it seems to take a lot of the learnings from the previous Kyrie sneakers and incorporates them into the newest silhouette. It's interesting how iterative Kyrie's line seems to be versus some of the other Nike athletes. Some athletes randomly get new silhouettes that look completely different than any of their previous silhouettes, whereas Kyrie seems to keep his shoes looking relatively similar. I don't think that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just an observation, but it's interesting to see his design process or his designer's design process versus some of the other Nike designers. Even though I don't know exactly which colorway is releasing, I do know that the Preheat colorways of Kyrie's usually do end up selling out, and I do think this pair will be the same, and I think this colorway will most likely sell out. Also releasing on the 11th, we've got the Nike Dunk Low Elephant. This Nike Dunk Low's colorway is very obviously inspired by the Atmos Nike Air Max 1. Now it's odd to me why this shoe isn't a collaboration with Atmos, even though it's kind of jacking that colorway. I get that it's still a Nike sneaker and it's not like they're stealing anything in reality, but it still feels a little bit odd and like they're kind of biting a little bit. The shoe comes in a white and black leather upper, accented by elephant print on the toe and on the heel, and then on either side of the sneaker, you've got a Tiffany blue Nike swoosh. Honestly, it's a solid looking sneaker, and even though I think I prefer the Air Max 1 version of this colorway to this colorway, it's still a shoe that I'm definitely going to try and pick up. However, most likely it'll be very difficult to get, and like every other Dunk that's released this year, I'm not going to be able to cop it. The Nike Dunk Low Elephant is definitely going to be limited, definitely going to be difficult to get, and will definitely sell out. And then rounding off November 11th, we've got the Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Fade. This Yeezy Boost 350 V2 comes in a very dark brown or dark mocha colored prime knit upper, accented by a dark navy side stripe. The midsole and outsole of the shoe come in a much lighter shade of brown that borders on tan. And overall, it's definitely an understated 350 V2, even though it has that sort of hit of blue on the side. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this colorway. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just a little bit dull to me. And I know they're sort of changing things up a little bit by adding the blue side stripe, but it still looks like a lot of the other brown Yeezys. But it's still a 350 V2, and 350 V2s always seem to sell out, and so because of that, this fade colorway will most likely sell. Then moving on to November 12th, we've got the Nike Vapor Max 2020 in Team Red. As the name of this shoe would suggest, this shoe comes in all team red, so it's an entirely red Vapor Max 2020. It looks fine. I feel like this is one of those shoes that would have benefited from some other color accents, like maybe if they had made the outsole of the shoe like translucent blue like they usually do instead of making it all bright red. Might have helped, I don't know, it's just not something that I would probably wear. Of course, like I said about the other Vapor Maxes, it's not a bad shoe, it's just, in my opinion, not a great colorway, and because of that, I don't think a lot of people will be drawn to this shoe, and so for that reason, I think the shoe is gonna sit. And then finally, rounding off the first half of the month, on November 14th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Co.JP Midnight Navy. Like the other Co.JP Air Jordan 1 release that happened earlier this year, this Midnight Navy version of the shoe features the same construction and the same material usage. However, rather than coming in a metallic silver colorway, this shoe comes in a blue and white colorway with a metallic silver Nike swoosh. And like the silver pair that released earlier this year, this shoe is also a retro of a pair that released exclusively in Japan in 2001. It's definitely a clean looking sneaker, and I absolutely prefer it to the first colorway that released. The good news for those of you who want this shoe and have a family, this shoe is coming in full family sizing, so you can grab pairs of these for everyone. Personally, I think this colorway is going to be more popular than the original colorway that released earlier this year, and as we all saw with that colorway, that shoe sold out instantly, and I think this shoe is going to do the exact same thing and definitely sell. But that pretty much wraps up Sit or Sell for the first half of November 2020. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on all of these releases and which shoes you're looking forward to most. So make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.